education. Education's like the English language. It's always changing. Recently, the Oxford English Dictionary added the words twerking, Slavicism, bootylicious, and many others. Okay? So, let's talk about twerking. Oh no, we've got a demonstration by Dr. Geddes. Slavicism. Slavicism is the actions taken to bring about social change requiring just a minimal effort. For an example, students doing some sort of an online petition. And then there's bootylicious. For those of you that don't know what that is, you can look that one up. The bottom line is, change brings controversy, whether it's in a dictionary, words to be added, or whether it's within the world of education. As frustrating and as baffling as it may be, pendulums swing back and forth. Philosophical pressure impacts how we measure success, as well as the ever-changing philosophies of what we should teach and when we should teach it. I applaud our support staff, our instructional staff, and our administrators for maintaining a positive spirit of commitment. And obviously, our team in Citrus County does not adhere to any kind of slacktivism. It's not in our system. I've got a little brief video that I want it to resonate with all staff members. No matter what your label, no matter what your name tag says, you need to understand that you're appreciated and that kids need you. Dr. Yes, hit that video. Please enjoy the video and please understand that it applies to all staff, regardless of what your title or how connected you are to our students. Everybody counts. Thank you for your commitment to our students here in Citrus County. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Balfour. We need to adopt the agenda as recommended by the superintendent. We do have an addition, and I'm going to go ahead and pass that addition out, and that is the approval of the appointment of Tony Stukes as assistant principal of Crystal River Primary School effective January 4th, 2016. And if we can add that for good cause, I'm sorry. And if we can add that as, we'll do it to item B, under support services, Johnny Bishop Human Services, we'll do it under B6.
Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as recommended by the superintendent, along with the addition from Chairman Kennedy.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Dodd, second by Ms. Bryant, to approve the adoption of the agenda. The appointment of Tony Stukes as Assistant Principal of Crystal River Primary effective January 4th, 2016. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And citizens' comments. Do we have any green cards? There'll be a second opportunity at 5:45. And then we just need to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Bryant, a second by Ms. Balfour to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And we are moving to finance. Ms. Wilson, welcome to Citrus County School Board.
Good afternoon. I briefly just wanted to let you know where we're standing right now. The first financial statements will come out at the next board meeting with the first budget amendment for the new year. Not new year, we're a couple months into the year. Right now, though, we have collected about 4% more revenue than we have last year, and our expenses are down about 10%. So we're looking very well at this time of year. Of course, that's a moment in time. So that's just what I wanted to bring to you. Do you have any questions on how things are going, or anything for me? Okay? Okay, Mr. Dunn.
So as we move forward now, Tammy, with the budget updates and your contact with the board, I appreciate things that I can read. So I don't know if there's something that, as far as numbers on the budget update, I know we've had that in the past. So,
So you're talking about, Mr. Dodd, the budget amendments, or?
Well, no, I know we get the budget amendments, but I'm talking about, you've made some broad statements on where we are, but could I read that on
And
paper
the
sometime?
first financial statements we submit to the board are at the November board meeting. So
Okay,
you will
we'll
start
have
getting
those
those again. Once we've gotten the AFR and the budget submitted to the state and everything back, that it's all approved, then we start submitting those next month.
And Mr. Dodd, it's not unusual for the October board meeting for even Mr. Locke to give like a statement, questions, issues,
Okay.
or things like that. And in November, when the first financial statements are completed,
Okay.
then she'll start with that each month.
Okay, great,
Okay.
thank you.
And I can tell you that the budget review came back from the DOE and there was no comments whatsoever. And the AFR came back, and this is not the audit, this is just from the DOE, the preliminary. The only questions they had was why our rent increased and our school-age child care revenue decreased, which is easily explained by the YMCA taking over our after-school program. And those were the only comments from the DOE on our financial statements for last year.
And Mr. Dodd, the budget update and also the curriculum update we kind of came about so that we kind of made sure that we paused to kind of make sure that we kind of just got a verbal update. That was really the purpose of it, and then any specific documentation, if the board requested, we could get that at that time. But it's really just kind of for Ms. Wilson now, but previously too for Mr. Blocker to just say, listen, this is what's happening. I'm hearing this at the state level. Need you to be aware of it. That kind of thing.
All right, thank you.
I like that 10% increase. Keep that going up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Okay, we're moving on to school and support services, and you are not Mr. Bishop, but
No,
you
I'm
are
not.
Ms. Swain.
Good afternoon. I
Good
am here
afternoon.
seeking approval of the instructional support recommendations as outlined in the goldenrod.
Before we do that, I'd like to pull Sandy Balfour's name off this personnel file and vote on it without her name on it. So,
Okay,
So what you're gonna do is you're making a motion to remove Ms. Balfour from appointments for 2015-16 as ASC teacher, change to lead teacher, or a separate vote.
Right.
exactly.
because I want to vote on, I want to vote on everything but my own.
It's
So with this one, so she needs a second vote.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Bryant, a second by Mr. Dodd, to approve the instructional and support recommendations with the exception of removing Sandra Balfour, AES teacher, change to lead teacher under appointments for 2015-2016. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, I'm sorry. And then motion carries 5-0. Is that correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can vote
I
now.
can vote for that.
Right.
Now somebody needs to make a motion to approve Ms. Balfour as an ASC teacher, change to lead teacher.
I move to approve Ms. Balfour, AES teacher to lead teacher.
Effective December 1st, 2015.
Hey, can I don't know where this is as far as protocol, but I'm not going to vote for that as far as, because I need to recuse myself, but also the verbiage on that should say administrator, not lead teacher, it should say administrator. So I don't know how you want to work through that. And it doesn't have to be this meeting. We can clean it up and bring it back to the board at the workshop. But I'm looking at the contract that's in front of me, and it
Right.
says
The
administrator.
actual position is lead teacher at the AES. On the green form, it did say with administrative duties on it, but the formal position in line with our job description is lead teacher.
So far as this
As far as job description is lead
matching the
teacher.
contract, it doesn't match, but
For the contract that you probably have is from the AES.
from AES.
So, you know, if they refer to that as administrator, then that is their position title. But as for our job description that goes to the AES, it's lead teacher with administrative duties.
Okay, I want to see administrative duties in there. So I'd like to have that before anybody votes on it. I want to
Well, I
make
think
sure.
those administrative duties are outlined in the lead teacher job description. It says you have supervisory capacity within that job description. That's why it's a lead teacher, not just a regular classroom teacher, because you do have supervisory responsibilities there.
I just know that I signed something that said administrator. So
And that may be with the academy. Is that what you're talking about, the contract
the
with the
day I
academy?
was signing the paperwork that you put in front of me, it said administrator.
Yeah, that was the personnel transfer sheet, if you will, or reclassification sheet, and it did say parentheses with administrative responsibilities. That position is tied to administrative responsibilities by virtue of the responsibilities outlined in the job description.
It's a administrative
It's got word administrator.
It said administrative responsibilities in parentheses. Yes, ma'am.
Why doesn't it just say administrator? Just curious, is that a different class than the?
Yeah, that's a different pay scale, and that's a decision that the AES has to make, is whether or not they can afford to fund a full administrative position. And I don't have any say so in that.
We changed the job description last year. I think it was it last year? So that the supervisor out there could do teacher observations, because before that, they didn't have that
I've
in
worked
their
out
job
there for,
description.
I'm very familiar with it.
So we had it changed to a lead teacher, but that's only been about a year.
Yeah, I'd say about a year and a half ago, yes, sir.
So
For clarification, is this something that this board decides, or is this something that we are given instruction to, is from the academy to make the determination? Because
So the academy's the one who started it. The academy may call I didn't see any of the documents.
Yeah, I signed a contract that
So
says
I don't know
administrator.
what it says. Why don't we do this? Why don't we table this and move on, and then I give
word it, in a way that's acceptable.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like that, but I haven't seen any English yet, so if you give me.
No problem.
Great. Okay, very good.
We did that.
Thank you.
So we'll come back to that, and right now we'll move on to approve the database support specialist job description change.
So, Mr. Chairman, with the motion in the second, we're tabling it. Do we need to have someone make?
No, I think we're not tabling it, we just haven't voted on it, so it's still sitting there.
Okay. It's,
We still have a motion and a second, but we've,
We're just gonna, you can table it for just, not,
That's what I was just gonna
not
say.
indefinitely, just gonna table it for the moment.
and that's what I was gonna say, we just can move on at this point procedurally.
You have a motion and a second to remove that from the goldenrod so that Ms. Balfour can vote on the goldenrod, so you can move forward with the goldenrod. You don't.
We did, the goldenrod we actually approved already.
Right, yeah, I don't think anybody made, I don't think anybody seconded.
Yeah, they did. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Did somebody make a motion to table it for, further down into the agenda? Second it, table it.
Okay, so if I can have a motion for that.
Brought back.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we table this discussion in reference to Ms. Balfour and the teacher position, administrative position.
Yeah, I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Dodd, a second by Ms. Powers to table the approval of Ms. Balfour until later on in the agenda while we can get clarification from our attorney. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Hey, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Dodd, for that. Ms. Swain, you can continue on approval of database support specialist job description change.
I'm here to seek approval of the database support specialist job description change.
I move to approve the database support specialist job description change.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Powers, a second by Ms. Bryant, to approve the database support specialist job description change. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
1 second?
Yep.
I would like the clerk to check the minutes on I don't think we voted on the goldenrod. I didn't vote to approve the goldenrod.
Yeah, we did. I have it down here. Can you,
Yes, I had a 5-0 vote. I am not showing though a second. We're looking at whether to remove Ms. Balfour, but then we made a table so we had watched the
Second, yeah.
yeah.
I thought we voted on the motion to remove Sandy.
AES teacher change to lead teacher from instructional support recommendations. And the second was made by Dennis Dodd. Attorney Bradshaw verified the motion, vote was taken and carried unanimously.
So we voted to take her off the goldenrod, but
And we approved the whole goldenrod except for Ms. Balfour.
Right. What you seconded was to remove her and approve the rest.
oh, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, all right.
Right. So it was the goldenrod with the exception of. But it's good for us to clarify. It's far better than for us to wander down the road. Okay, we are, I believe, on to approval of user support specialist job description and title change to application support specialist. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the user support specialist job description and the title change to application support specialist.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Balfour, a second by Mr. Dodd to approve the user support specialist job description and title change to application support specialist. Any questions or comments?
Yes, question. When you change programs and everything, the people who are doing this, are they sent to some class or school or something to get up a new program?
I'm going to refer to Mr. Chamlin.
When we moved to this office, the vendor provides training for everyone.
Does this mean we're getting new hires?
Not terribly, no.
Just checking. You'll let me know when you have some, right? Thank you.
We all look forward to that.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. programmer analysis.
I am seeking approval of the programmer analyst job description and title change to application support analyst.
I move to approve the programmer analysis job description and title change to application support analyst.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Ms. Balfour to approve the program analysis job description and title change to application support analysis. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0.
I am seeking approval of the project leader job description and title change to senior application support analyst.
I make a motion that we approve the project leader job description and title change to senior application support analyst.
Second.
I have, I have a motion by Mr. Dodd, a second by Ms. Bryan to approve the project leader job description and title change to senior application support analysis. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Excuse me.
And finally, I am seeking approval to appoint Tony Stukes as assistant principal of Christ River Primary School.
I move to support Tony Stukes as assistant principal.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Bryant, a second by Ms. Balfour to approve Tony Stukes as assistant principal of Crystal River Primary effective January 4th, 2015. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Stukes, and we wish you very great success.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
You.
Mr. Clotter. We could say bonjour.
Good afternoon, members of the
Miss Powers just all of a sudden started, speaking in another language here, so.
I believe we're bringing to you a approval of a donation from the Education Foundation, which has a specific purpose in regards to computers, iPads, and carts. I'm sorry, kind of winging it here because this is Dr. Geddes has been working with the Education Foundation on this.
Yeah, it's actually computers and carts, Mr. Connor.
What is it?
Computers and carts.
Computers and carts.
You said computers and computers in?
Computers and the carts to go with them, yes.
Do we want to take a motion first and then go ahead and go into comments and questions?
I make a motion to approve the grant from the Citrus County Education Foundation for $39,541.62 for the mobile computer carts for the 2 elementary schools.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Balfour, second by Ms. Bryant, to approve a grant from the Citrus County Educational Foundation for $39,541.62 for mobile computer carts for 2 elementary schools. Okay.
No, that says it's cards, so this is anything about computer cards.
Well, at that price, there, by gosh, better be. Go ahead, Dr. Geddes.
I did not place the item on the agenda, so I'm not exactly sure how it reads, but I was contacted by Stephen Barbieri, the director of Education Foundation. He told me that they had received an anonymous donation that would go towards schools and technology, and we discussed options, and he suggested mobile learning cart that contains computers. So basically, this is a rolling cart that houses 24 notebook computers. They are stored in there, they can be secured in there and locked, and they're charged in there overnight. Basically, they're Dell Latitude 3340 computers, purposely built for school environments, have a heavy-duty hinge, kind of a bumper around the edge. And so basically, he asked me to kind of develop specs, get quotes, and so I did that. I then met with the Citrus County Education Foundation Board at a meeting last month, and we just discussed the details of what they wanted, how it should go about, and so it was jointly agreed that I would do an application for elementary schools. They want to focus on elementary schools. And basically, we developed an application for elementary schools, and I'll just read the paragraph off of it. 2 elementary schools will be awarded 1 mobile learning cart each. The award of this grant will be based on the evaluation of a proposal to be completed by each school, submitted to Dr. Mike Geddes, Director of Instructional Technology, by the due date. Dr. Geddes will convene a committee made up of district staff and CCEF board members to evaluate proposals, and they will be scored using a rubric. Only 1 grant application may be submitted per elementary school. So we have a 2-page grant application kind of proposal, and we ask questions like, how would your school utilize the mobile learning cart? How many students will be impacted? What instructional goals will the mobile learning cart project address? How will you measure effectiveness in relation to your instructional goals? And 6 or 7 additional questions. So the plan is that I would convene some of my district staff, as well as 2 or 3 representatives from the CCEF board. We're going to gather, collect those proposals that are due October the 15th. We're going to have some kind of scoring rubric and then make a decision on the 2 recipients from that process. I can tell you that there's some good experience on that board. One in the form of Mrs. Kathy Pompaselli, former Title I director of Citrus County Schools for many years. So she really has a good understanding of what schools have already, what they purchased previously with some of their funds. So I can tell you the effort will be made to be as objective and as fair and address the greatest needs to the best of our ability with that grant.
Dr. Geddes, I think when we met with the Technology Advisory Council, you also brought this up and got feedback from it on doing that process, and I appreciate you doing that. I thought that was a good...
Thank you for that reminder. We did mention this at our District Technology Advisory Council meeting, just to make them aware that this was going to be happening and kind of shared a preliminary idea of how we saw that happening. So it kind of had their endorsement and their stamp of approval.
So I've got a question. You haven't chosen elementary schools. The application hasn't gone.
The application has been sent to all the schools. The due date is October 15th, so in a couple of days we'll be seeing what we've got and then schedule a meeting to evaluate those at that time.
And I was just curious, I mean, I think it's, I'd love to see the work of the Education Foundation assisting the schools. And I just had thought, I wanted to hear how this ties into a goal or strategy. I mean, we have iPads.
Whose part?
On the school's part. I mean, these are Dell PCs, right? So what is the objective?
I can tell you just a couple of things that are needs out there. One is with a continued emphasis on computer-based testing. There is a big need to continue to reduce student to computer ratios. Basically, we need more devices to test the number of kids in the time frame we have to test them. So that is one way they would certainly be used. Second way is for programs like Success Maker. It's surprising how many students were running through Success Maker on a daily basis. And in some schools, every student, 20 minutes a day in reading and/or math. So it's pretty significant. So that would help ease that burden, as well as the Strat Academy and some of the other software systems that we're using in our schools. So, I mean, it ties into student achievement in that way, and certainly will supplement anything we're already doing in those situations. So.
But the Educational Foundation's funding does not have to tie into anything. If they wanted to just give it, that's just a donation, unless we want to refuse their donation.
No, I definitely wouldn't want, I'm not saying that at all. I wanted to know, it sounded like they kind of had a donor that kind of wanted it to go for computers.
Yeah, and I can share that, and Mr. Barbieri will be here later, actually doing a little update for you at 5 o'clock. He's about 4th or 5th down the agenda from that 5 o'clock time certain, so might be a good opportunity to ask him for a little more background.
But Mr. Dodd is correct on this, Ms. Donna's donor asked that it go towards technology.
Okay, and then the Foundation worked with Dr. Geddes and his team and committee, and they came up with this as being a very needed or a beneficial program for our students, and I appreciate it.
And they've actually already given us the check. The devices have been ordered. They have not been received yet.
Dr. Geddes, there's 2 days left.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Do we have, how many applications?
Only a couple schools today, but it wouldn't surprise me if they wait until, the deadline to get turned in. But there's certainly some interest there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Curriculum update.
Again, good afternoon. I was thinking today, what could I provide you with in regards to updates? We're into the 9 weeks. The 9 weeks is actually concluded as of last week. We are actually, as Mr. Simon had done in the last workshop, provided you with State of the District with the data that we already had. At that time, we didn't have the FSA data, so once we actually get a lot of that information put together, we're going to be sharing that with you. We do have plans and schedules right now as of today to start to meet with the schools and the principals to actually review that data. We do have the FSA data for both math and also for the ELAs. So this Friday, the principals are going to meet at the elementary level, and then next Friday, the middle school and then high school. One of the things I wanted to kind of share with you, when I'm asked why we're so successful in Cyprus County, my first response is, of course, the folks that work in our departments and our teachers that teach our students, and a lot of the staff here is so unique. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that we have a perfect size of a district. We're not big, we're not small, and basically we are able to actually input a lot of conversations, or actually input a lot of processes that are generated from a lot of conversations that committees in the district actually do. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you, if you wouldn't mind taking one and passing this down, this is a document that I have kept on my desk for about 5 years now since I came into this position. And it again reminds me of the work that everybody in our district actually does that's actually embedded into our calendar. I call them collaborations, you may call them meetings, but these are basically conversations that we have on a regular basis with some key stakeholders in our district. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to basically kind of review this so that the board understands who actually is getting together and when they're getting together and for what reason they are getting together. So at the top, as you can see in my second paragraph, our regularly scheduled collaborations or meetings are ways that we ensure input from stakeholders, provide professional development, ensure understanding, and also process our implementation. So this is kind of timely now because we've had a lot of conversations just yesterday about a new FSA, a new assessment that we're actually entering into now. We basically have gone through our FCAT, and now we're going into this transition. And again, understanding how we're assessing, or what we're assessing, is very important. So I start out with the first group. You board members do know this. The executive meeting actually takes place every Monday with Mr. Mullen generating the agenda, Mrs. Himmel facilitating the meeting with Mr. Mullen, Mr. Clauder, and Mr. Bishop. And that is a weekly meeting that we have on Mondays. Again, the variety of topics that are listed on there range from both support and also ed services. The next group is the educational services, and this is actually the team that I meet with on every Monday morning, and you can see the directors from each of those departments get together. Our emphasis is to actually review and focus responsibilities and maintain communication amongst all of the departments that I actually oversee, so that way we know what's happening during the week, we actually know what the conversations are going to be taking place, and then how Dr. Geddes' world is affecting the elementary, the secondary, the exceptional student education, and all of those worlds. The next one is actually one that's been in place for quite some time. It's taken on different focuses, but this is the group that meets together on a monthly basis. It is the principals and the district administrators, and in addition with Mr. Mullen, he actually meets regularly with his principals at each of the levels, elementary, middle, and high school, specifically during the months. So again, we are basically meeting this year every other month with an educational services focus. And we talk about, again, the standards, the curriculum, the assessment, the professional development that's actually embedded into this. And that's really kind of the key topics. We generate the agenda at the beginning of the month and then send that out. And again, it's like the third Tuesday that we meet. The assistant principals, which is facilitated by an assistant principal and one of our district staff, actually do a follow-up to the principal's information, because the assistant principals don't sit in on the principals, but they do actually get the same information at a later time, so that we're not, again, taking more people out of the schools on a particular day. So we're cognizant of that. Also, the professional development, or the development, is specifically geared towards those responsibilities that an assistant principal would actually be in charge of, whether it be facilities or discipline or curriculum and things like that. Moving down, on a weekly basis, the educational services team gets together as the teachers on special assignment. And again, you know who, and program specialists, you know those folks. We have had a big change in that area. Beverly Tidwell in regards to mathematics. Donna Boley is back again for science. Beth Beatty for social studies. We have Katie Manning, Leah Swiggett for the English language arts. We also, Stephanie Gardner, the exceptional student education comes, and they meet with both Lindy, a professional development person, who she does actually supervise them, but then also sitting in on that meeting is the director of secondary and the director of elementary education, and it typically takes place on Monday mornings as well. The next one is the district school teachers on special assignment for the schools. So all of those folks that had basically been curriculum specialists in the past, the teachers on special assignments, these are those folks that are in the elementary and the middle level that are basically overseeing the curriculum and the standards. Those folks together get together on a monthly basis, and they meet with Mr. Hebert at the elementary level and then Mr. Rowland at the secondary level. At the high school, since there are no curriculum specialists or teachers on special assignment, the assistant principals for each of the high schools have been designated, and they actually attend. Then we have the district school certified school counselors meetings. Mrs. Humbaugh from Student Services facilitates these. These are basically broken down into quarterly. Sometimes they're joint. Typically at the beginning of the year, you'll have K through 12 certified school counselors getting together. And then throughout the year, they may be more specific in regards to their levels. The bottom one is the Teacher Education Council, and what took place today is the Support Staff District Committee, is the TEC and the SSDC groups. And typically, we have a representative from each of the schools that sits and meets on a regular basis and really actually identifies what are the professional development needs at each of the schools, and talks about, again, meeting those needs. And there's a big component to a professional development that Lindy puts into focus in those meetings. Regina Allegretta and the District Student Services staff meetings, again including the attendance assistants, the social workers, the nurses, the program facilitators, and typically they get together again, similarly, quarterly, to be able to make sure that all of those entities are actually getting the same information. Again, the district media specialists, again, the media specialists get together and look at ways, or some ways to identify management materials, but the key is really supporting the instruction that's going on in the classroom and looking for those resources. The Ed Tech Council, again, every member, or the members from each of the schools come together with Dr. Geddes and review how technology tools can actually be a part of our instructional delivery. A big change that's happened within the last 3 years is those testing coordinators. At each of the schools, whether it be the elementary, middle, or high school, we have testing coordinators, and that has been huge in order to be able to follow guidelines. Again, moving target, different companies having all of the different requirements, and now with the technology, have to meet with them on a regular basis to be able to understand the responsibilities of the assessments. The next, I've brought it up with you before, but I just want to let you know, curriculum mapping. This is a process that we've put in place now for quite some time. Kind of goes along with what Mrs. Balfour had mentioned before about philosophies of when to teach and what to teach. And this curriculum mapping actually ensures a guaranteed and viable curriculum throughout our district. These maps that are posted on our website are retweaked. They're looked at every year. If we basically pull those stakeholders and teachers together to look and say, is there something that we need to move to a different time? Is there something that we need to make more time for? That is, again, a conversation that's held with the teachers. Instructional materials adoption and the alignment. The state actually dictates the schedule, but it's not a decision that's made in isolation. We basically do work with the principals in order to identify the teachers that are actually in the classroom teaching the courses. We pull them together and start having that conversation about what's the course, what's the best resource for that course. Assessment development is an ongoing process, again, whether it be end of term tests or the Cyprus assessments, the CBAT, all of those assessments, we incorporate the teachers into that conversation and to that development. Data chats and data days, you've known about these for a while, ever since we started assessing students and checking the progress monitoring. That has been an integral part of not just the school and their calendar, but every summer we get together with the principals and sit down. What's the data telling us? What are we proud about? What is it that we need to work on? Again, always guided by our superintendent to want to continue to look at how things we can do to improve those and make them better and close that achievement gap. The next page, the high school directions. Again, we've kind of talked with your familiarity with that. Again, including a wide variety of folks in that conversation, but scheduling and course sequences always seems to be the focus for those meetings. Again, is that sequence of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2 the right approach for our students at the high school level? The last one is one that we really haven't visited in a while, and it's those regional meetings. You know, we're basically, as a district, broken down into the West, or the Gulf, the Central, and then we've got the Lakes region. And at one time when I came to the district, we actually had quarterly meetings about those. And so we basically have been trying to find another avenue in order to be able to have those articulation meetings with the K through 12. And so we've been having some conversation about how we can bring that back. We have been basically looking at a model of providing our regions opportunities to go to a model schools conference, come back and actually have some things. What did we learn from that conference? What are some things that got me excited about things that we could infuse? And then how can we actually service our community? So, board members, I share this with you just to kind of give you a good overview of that. Every week, there is a group meeting and actively talking about how we can collaborate to get a better understanding of the standards, or how to better service our students. Just a lot of conversations going on.
Thank you for that.
I want to ask a question. I know you were talking about things coming from the state
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we have to follow.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have an opportunity, a specific opportunity, to send information back to the state that we have gleaned from what we've done? To share?
Yes.
To lead?
Periodically, I believe the state does come to Mrs. Himmel, and I've sat in a couple of meetings with her over the past 10 years when they basically asked for that information and said, what's the feedback in regards to them? One of the things that we've asked, that we've said over and over again, is be able to get that information and really actually look for a good implementation. We as administrators in our Ed Services Department and also from the Personnel Department attend what we call FOIL, which is the Florida Organization of Instructional Leaders. It is a meeting that is held twice a year, in the fall and then the spring. And Ms. Powers, what they do is they actually work through legislation implementation. So if a legislation has just been actually passed, whether it be graduation requirements, we'll sit down and actually work together on truly understanding, then looking for implementation as the legislation intended. But that is another venue that we are able to communicate with our DOE counterparts and be able to provide them some feedback.
In some meeting, they were asking school board members if he had suggestions in terms of legislation. And one of the things we focused on was just that feedback or information given to the legislators in Tallahassee, and to have educators, I use the term have a seat at the table, I really don't mean go and vote, but to discuss things with committees, so when things are passed, they understand the implications for the curriculum, they understand for graduation, they have a deep understanding of how what they're doing, they're contemplating doing, will affect the schools. And no one's there to tell them. You know, any of us would be voting blind if we didn't have the information.
Yes. I do know that in past years, we've actually had a request from us to be able to list those, to be able to share that with the legislation. That may be at a different level than I'm at, but basically anytime that I have the opportunity to share with them, I know that Mr. Simon, Mrs. Worthaler, we're networking with other folks that are at the district, at the state level, and sharing that. But at the legislative level, I always, again, kind of leave that to those policymakers.
And maybe we should do a little bit more there.
I
Maybe we
agree
should
with
offer some material, have like a standing committee or a standing group that we're there giving information to the legislature. Anyone in here know a legislator that was? But honestly, because we really can't expect them to understand education, but we need to give them the information.
I do know that legislators have made a point, and I'll say, Jimmy, Mr. Smith had done that. He actually came and really was talking to myself. Also, he's the committee that Mr.
Task
Kennedy,
force.
the task force is looking for the reality that's going on in the schools. He had a concern, and he really asked for our input in regards to how do those students that are on the career and technical path actually get towards graduation. And I think we're making some steps there. So I think that was an opportunity where that representative actually
Maybe we could have
sought
added
out.
onto this
True?
legislative committee that will
Yeah.
people meeting from the district to give information to the legislature about what we need, not just take what they're giving us, but what we need from them.
True.
And the State Department too. And I know Ms. Henry does a lot of
Yes.
conversations with the State Department, but maybe we should have that written down as part of a regular committee.
Another committee on a regular one.
That's right, that's right. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Board members, we're going to take about a 10-minute break, and we're going to reconvene at 5 o'clock.